Okay. Hey guys, this is Tyler Kirkham. You know me, I work from a lot of covers for Spider-Man, Venom, Deadpool, and work with DC Comics, Green Lantern, Teen Titans. And welcome to Spoiler Country. Thanks for joining us.
In a world of podcasts, one rises in the night to destroy them all. The elder god in an ocean of noise, the Cthulhu of the airwaves. This is Spoiler Country.
Hello, listeners of Spoiler Country. Today on the show, we have the fantastic Mr. Tyler Kirkham. How's it going, sir?
Hey guys, I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, as I mentioned off air, I'm a big fan of yours. You've penciled some of my favorite comic books growing up over the last, I guess, since New 52 and earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're a big Green Lantern fan, right?
Oh, I'm a huge Green Lantern. I literally have every Green Lantern title going back to the original Silver Age Green Lantern, including the showcase ones.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, go ahead.
Do you remember when Green Lantern was just the rave? I mean, it was like you would go to a convention and one out of like every 5 people would have a Green Lantern shirt on.
Yeah, I mean, it had a golden age right around the 2000s when I guess probably when Jeff Johns jumped over and he did the whole Blackest Night. It was a great moment for Green Lantern. Exactly.
Then it just blew up, and it was just like the most popular comic, I feel like, running, and that's why I was like, holy crap, they're asking me to do a Green Lantern book. It was like my first DC work. It was Green Lantern, and it was amazing, and I loved working on those characters.
Yeah, it really tells you, no matter what the character is, if you put on the right team, the character is going to sell. And it doesn't matter the character. If the good writer is good, if the artist is good, the series is going to be a hit. And the one, like I said, the series that you wrote that I really loved was Green Lantern: The New Guardians, when you had each member of the Corps and they basically, it was sort of like a Green Lantern super team. It was just genius.
I agree that. Tony Bedard was the writer. We had kind of both shifted over from Green Lantern Corps, which I started on, and moved over to New Guardians when they did the New 52. So they basically kept the same team. It was me, Tony, the same color, the same inkers. And, they just shifted us over. And it was Kyle Rayner, who was kind of the main Green Lantern Corps Lantern anyway. So he was kind of the main character in New Guardians as well. But you got all those different lanterns from the other color spectrums, which was such, like you said, an amazing concept for a book, which it really was.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been a comic book fan of Green Lantern. And I've been collecting for about 30 years or so, maybe a little over 30 years. And Kyle Rayner was my favorite Green Lantern. And how you guys handled him, I felt like not only did you honor the Kyle Rayner from the 90s version of him, but you gave him a great leadership role on that team in the New Guardians that just made it just feel like you respected the character so much. And like I said, artistically, you did a great job with it.
Yeah, and with Kyle, like him being an artist and stuff, I tried to almost put myself like in his shoes a little bit, like he's the one lantern I feel like most artists could probably relate to. And I just got to have fun with like his relationship with like, Glomulus and Arkillo and all it was just fun. Like in Larfleeze, I got to draw a lot of Larfleeze, which I always liked him as a character.
Yep.
And I got to create my own villains and stuff too, like in that book, like the designs and stuff, that Invictus character.
Yep.
So that was awesome for me. I mean, he had a pretty big role in that, and he was really powerful, so.
When you're doing the constructs for the characters, especially Kyle Rayner, because not all of the Green Lantern Corps had their own construct because of, their particular powers. Did Tony Bedard tell you, I want to see this construct, or did you get to draw whatever you wanted as a construct for him?
No, I mean, he would, if he had something specific in mind, he would mention it, obviously, in the script. Like, I think in the first issue, I think it was issue 1. Yeah, issue 1 where Kyle makes these like giant construction workers constructs. Mm-hmm. I think Tony had a different vision than I did. Like, I think he actually was picturing modern construction workers with hard hats and stuff like that. But I actually went old school, like iron steel building construction. So that was fun. I mean, he said, "Hey, construction workers," and I just put my my spin on it, really. You know, I think it was different than he envisioned, but he ended up liking it anyway. So yeah, and then other lanterns and other characters have their own, like, for example, like Sinestro, like he's gonna have his own look for his constructs, and Arquillo, and like, you know, you gotta try to like reflect the character, I guess. Like Hal Jordan's gonna have something different than Jon Stewart, and then Kyle can have, like, with Kyle we did some fun stuff, like a couple of like anime mech type constructs, and like, you know, I remember he made a little manga freaking little blue guy, what's his name? Forgot the Guardians.
Oh, yeah.
He made a little like anime version of that.
That's awesome.
Ganth's his name. So he had more of an artsy feel for his constructs, as opposed to, you know, Jon Stewart, who would have like a military type look or guns and armor type of stuff. So
yeah, I was looking into some of the history, and I couldn't believe that the new 52 is now 10 years old. It doesn't feel like it's been that long ago.
Oh man, I know. It really was.
Well,
And it was so big, you know, it was such a big deal, which was so fun to be a part of.
it must have been one exciting time. I mean, was there a lot of collaboration among the teams, especially within the Green Lantern teams working together?
Yeah, DC would have these summits, you know, where you would go out of town, or you'd meet at a hotel, and like you would take over all the conference rooms, and you would sit down and you know, hash out the different interlocking, you know, stories, like with all the Green Lantern books or the Superman books or the Batman books. So whatever book you're working on, you would kind of separate and go sit with that crew and come up with like the plan for the next year or so. And it was really cool. It was a really, really good way to like keep everyone in sync, you know, like, hey, here's what we're gonna do. Here's the overall plan for, you know, the Green Lantern universe.
Well, you know, I really just thought it was incredible. And one thing I didn't know, going slowly off the subject, is that your first work was actually for Top Cow, and you were in Mark Silvestri. Is that correct?
Yeah. So my very, very first work was like an indie book called The Gift, and it was for a writer named Raven Gregory, who ended up getting picked up by Image anyways. But I actually got the gig from an editor who worked at Top Cow, who I had kind of been messaging and you know, stuff online. I met with her one time in LA, and I would see her at conventions and stuff. And she saw some potential in me, but I wasn't good enough to work like on mainstream stuff. So she was editing The Gift on the side. And so she hooked me up with that gig, and I did that for like, you know, 9 issues or something. But as I was working on The Gift, I ended up getting an internship at Top Cow. So I moved to LA. I was working in the studio, like with Silvestri and stuff, but I was working on The Gift. So it was like, he was kind of, you know, like helping me, teaching me stuff, but I wasn't even working on a Top Cow book. So it was really cool of him to do that, because,
Yeah.
you know, he didn't need to be doing that, because it wasn't like one of their properties. But finally he was like, man, you know, this guy's getting good. And like, I did some sample stuff for other books like Strike Force, and they loved one of them so much that they gave me the book. And so that's how I started doing.
Yeah, I mean, Top Cow is noted for how great the artwork is in their books. Yeah. I mean, the Witchblade comic books, the Darkness comic books, all the Image titles, especially specifically Top Cow, are beautiful artwork. So what was it like to know that you've made it on a book with that kind of prestige?
Well, as an artist growing up in the 90s, or a comic, you know, fan, it was either Top Cow, Wildstorm, or one of these studios, like Extreme Studios or whatever. Those were like the goals for me. Yeah. And if you talk to other guys that are my age, like my generation, they say the same thing. That was just like, that's where they had all the best artists coming out of, you know, Top Cow, Wildstorm, and stuff like that. So it was just like the goal. So for me to, you know, to actually be working in a studio with like other guys, you know, like Michael Turner had just left for Aspen to create Aspen when I got there. But you still had guys coming in like Dave Finch and Joe Benitez and Billy Tan and numerous other guys. I mean, you know, Eric Bastaldua was there, Mike Choi, David Nakayama, so, you know, Matt Banny. Just a lot of creators were coming in and out of that studio. And of course you had Silvestri working in the same room. So as a young comic artist, like, it was intimidating, but also like extremely exciting, you know?
Yeah. And I must admit, it's funny that you mentioned Extreme Studios. I was also a huge fan of Topco and Extreme Studios. I mean, but it was the image of the 90s was in early 2000s. It was an amazing time to be a comic book fan, especially of indie work.
I think so, man. I miss that stuff, honestly, because that's what I kind of grew up on. That was when I got really into comics. I mean, I like Marvel or like X-Men and stuff like that, but when you started seeing all these new characters and stuff coming out, that and the art just looked so much better. The coloring obviously was better. The printing quality was way better. It just changed the game. I mean, there's a reason why I blew up, I think.
Yeah. And and the big comic book nerd of Extreme that I am, I actually have an Extreme Studios Facebook group that I started, so I can just keep talking about Extreme, because they said that it was great stuff. And when you guys were all working together, did you guys make each other better as artists and a writing team? Absolutely, man. I mean, there's something about working, around other creators that brings out the best in you. I think it kind of makes you grow faster than you would if you were just on your own, honestly, because not only are you trying to impress like all the other people that are there, but you're learning little techniques, and you got people like pointing things out to you that you would have missed on your own. So that bullpen like setup is so awesome for like a creative team or creative people, I think. But it was fun too, because it wasn't just all about drawing all the time. I mean, we would come in at night and we would draw for a bit, hang out. We'd go get coffee and donuts. We'd come back and play some Halo. It was just awesome. I mean, it was such a good time. Like, but then I would go home and sleep for like 3 hours, and come back in the morning to try to impress the editors, which were actually the ones that were giving me the jobs. So yeah, it didn't help if I just came in at night and worked with Silvestri and stuff, because the editors wouldn't see that I was a hard worker, So you had to do both. So that's what I was doing. Yeah, so you're very strategically round nosing the editors. Yeah. So I would show up. I would go home. I would sleep for a couple hours. I'd take my wife to work, and then I would drive to the studio where the editors would see me in the day. I'd work a few hours there. I'd go pick up the wife, get dinner, go back to the house for a couple hours, come back to the studio, work with Silvestri and the other guys for another few hours, and then do it all over. I mean, for like a year. I was there for 2 years, but it was fun but tiring at the same time. I bet. Now one thing that Image became known for is that a lot of the artists also started writing their own books as well. Was that an inspiration for you for now? Yeah, for now. Like I never thought about writing my own stuff back then, In fact, I had written a couple of children's books, like as I was kind of doing that stuff, with my wife. And I ended up writing a graphic novel that Zenescope published called Screwed Project Frankenstein. And it's basically like a modern, mature take on the Frankenstein legend, but it's a female monster. So I co-wrote that with Keith Thomas, who has passed away, actually. And that was like, gosh, man, that was maybe, I don't know, 8 years ago or something, 7-8 years ago. I don't know. I'd have to look. But I plotted the whole thing out, and then me and Keith worked together to script it out. But that was my, it was my creation, and I came to Keith to help me flesh it out. But it was so rewarding to like have people read it and talk about it and like review it and stuff that I wanted to do it again. Like, so I'd been, after that, I had been, kind of fleshing out ideas that I've had in my head for a long time. And I knew I wanted to do it again. I wanted to work with Keith again, but of course, like I said, he passed away sadly. But so I was like, I think I can do this, like after working so much. And so I came up, I had the story already, obviously, Final Boss, but I started fleshing it out, and I was like, I think I could actually write this, so I was kind of building up the confidence to actually write it as I was going, as I was creating it. But I had never really done it yet to this point. But I wrote it in like the old Marvel style, where it's basically just a script, or a plot. I was writing it for myself, obviously. So I was like, okay, I'm going to plot this out. I'm going to come up, do the pages, or, I'm going to come up with the breakdowns for the panels and everything. And then I'm going to put the dialogue. I'm going to roughly know what people are saying. Yeah. And then I'm going to put the dialogue in, which is actually what a lot of writers do now. Like they use this style. Like they don't actually put the final dialogue in over the characters until they actually see the pages.
That is a style of writing that's done a lot right now, actually. So I thought I could work with that, and I did. Worked out pretty good for me.
So when you decided now was the time to have your own book, was it that you felt as a writer you're now advanced enough to do it, or as an artist you felt it was ready to put your own stamp and make it your own fully, your own title completely?
Yeah, kind of both, man. And it's not only that; it's more like I was getting a little bit like, I wouldn't say tired, but like, so I've been doing a lot of cover work the last like 5 years, right? Mainly cover work. That's what I mainly do now. And I would occasionally pick away at something, or a fill-in issue, or 10 to 12 pages here or there for DC. And I've turned down a couple of projects too that I just couldn't get excited about. I mean, I tried, like I was like, okay, I got it ready on the table, and I just couldn't find the drive to actually like move forward. So I knew at that point that like I want to do my own thing. I mean, there are books, like I am doing a book coming up with DC I can't talk about right now, but that I'm going to be starting in the next couple months. So there are things that still excite me a lot about certain things, certain characters and stuff like that. But I kept going back to that feeling of when I put out Screwed, of how rewarding it was. It was just really fun. I mean, going to conventions and pitching your own story to people, selling it to, just trying to sell your own thing is kind of fun for me. Like, I had a really good time doing that with my last project. And like I said, it's just fun. It's more rewarding seeing someone talk about a book that you actually wrote and drew than it is just someone reviewing like a Green Lantern issue or something, because you know that you created that,
I will 100% agree. I do very indie press comic books on my own. As a writer, I can't draw. I'm a writer. And it does feel good when someone picks up your comic book and, and they ask, when's your next issue? And they see it the next time, you're like, holy crap, there's a fan. Good to meet you, fan.
Yeah. It's exciting, and I've always wanted to build, a world or whatever, a full, like we had a whole plot and everything for volume 2 for Screwed, actually, but it just didn't happen because, like I said, it didn't feel right continuing that without Keith. But so I was like, I'm just going to come up with something else on my own. And, this has been, Final Boss is basically everything that I love and I've loved growing up. So it's like, I was like, I'm just going to do what I want to do and have fun with it. And hopefully people will enjoy it. Honestly, that was like my main thing. I was like, just thinking to myself, this is what I want to draw. This is the story I want to tell. Like, I love this and this and this. I'm going to put it together and I'm going to, make a really cool plot out of it. And just hopefully people will enjoy it and come along for the ride. And then it started to actually really come together as I was, laying out the whole synopsis. And I was like, this is actually could be really, really cool. I think people will like it. So
can you give our listeners your pitch for Final Boss?
Yeah, so Final Boss is basically, if comic books and video games collided, like it's got a very, retro beat 'em up gamer kind of feel to it. It was very inspired by games like Double Dragon, Streets of Rage, Street Fighter, classic fighting game, beat 'em up games, along with a 90s action movies / 90s comics flair, I guess. And just, I'm a huge like MMA fan. I love the UFC and stuff. So I wanted to have something that would have a lot of fighting in it. And so it's not really like a cage fighting comic. It's more of like a Tommy Brazen, who's the main protagonist. He discovers that he has supernatural abilities, and he knows that his grandfather has told him all these grandiose stories about when he was, during World War II, he was stranded on an island, and he was, Tommy never believed these stories as a kid because his grandfather would tell him about, this ancient god that he fought, and this and that, this temple that was lost, and it's cool stories and stuff. But when Tommy started showing signs of the stuff that his grandfather had told him about, he was like, wait a minute, there's actually something to this. And his father goes missing, his grandfather gets killed, and Tommy's got to find out the truth about these powers that he's discovering among him, or from his inner self, and find his missing dad and stuff on the way. So it's really an action adventure with a twist of, cage fighting, I guess you could say. But and I'm calling it Final Boss because obviously it's got that very gamer feel. And each issue, he fights another boss character, so he levels up. Whenever he defeats someone, he gets stronger. And it's got a tier system like on Mortal Kombat, like where in the end of each issue, you'll see him moving up the ladder, basically.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he levels up. Like it's a very gamer like vibe to it. I mean, he earns hit or extra stamina, strength, speed, special abilities, and you can track it in the back of the book, because I've always loved those old like Marvel cards and stuff where they had like all the statistics and stuff. So like I said, I'm taking elements of everything that I love.
Right. As you should.
Yeah, and it's just a no holds barred, like fun action book. I mean, it's got a story. It's got a family drama to it. It's going to be a fun ride too,
Yeah, the summary that you have on your crowdfunding, your campaign, and it describes Tommy Brazen as Special Forces operative, but a disgraced one. So are you going to go into why Brazen was disgraced? And is he then more of a hero or anti-hero, or is he self-serving?
Yeah, I go into it in the story. I'm not going to go into it too much here, but he it's basically something happens on his watch. He gets a burst of power that ends up getting someone killed, and basically has to leave. You know what I mean? He's just like, he gets court-martialed or whatever, and he's so he's disgraced in the sense that he didn't want to go out like that, and he's got to find other ways to make a living now, and he's good, he's a really good warrior basically. So he takes on odd jobs like Craigslist jobs and stuff for enforcement. That's his thing. I mean, he takes on odd enforcement gigs, right?
Yeah.
So he'll be the muscle, or he'll be the a brute or something, but he'll also do this cage fighting and stuff at night because he's so good at it. And he's like, wow, I'm really skilled at this, and I don't know why I am, But yeah, so that like I said, he gets by the end of the series, he's going to be like Superman strong. I mean, he's going to be like Goku, you know what I mean?
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of this, is he's got to get strong enough to beat the current, final boss.
And so as he gets stronger, are there any cost to the powers or anything like that? I mean, does he, how much like Superman is he going to be like?
Well, I mean, he's not going to be flying and stuff like that, okay? So there's certain things that he'll be able to do, but what he's going to do is he's going to absorb certain elements of the character, or the enemy that he just defeated, right? Like if the enemy that he just defeated is a master swordsman, he's going to absorb a little bit of that special ability, and that's going to go into his special abilities, chart or whatever statistic. And if someone's got another superpower or whatever, well, that's why you'll sometimes see him in certain images with like fiery hands or whatever, right? Because there isn't really a limit to what he can do as long as he has absorbed that ability or that power. So yeah, I mean, he wouldn't really be like Superman, but he'd be limited to, like, he's not going to be shooting lasers out of his eyes, and if he did, it would be very minimally used. You know what I mean? Like, he would absorb that energy, but he wouldn't really be able to like freaking block. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be something he could do all the time. So, but he'll also have these bursts of energy too, which can, get people hurt or killed and stuff too. So
these final bosses, are they? Because you mentioned you said grandfather, I think it was, fought gods. So these final bosses are all types of gods, are they? And are they gods that you pulled from mythology? Are they gods that you created your own mythology for?
So picture this, okay? So there's this hidden island with an ancient temple, devoted to a war god or a war deity that's, thousands and thousands of years old. We don't know. Just picture, let's just picture Atlantis time or something, right? So mythical temple that his grandfather gets, shipwrecked on with a couple of other guys because their ship gets blown up or sunk. And so they stumble upon this ancient temple devoted to this god, and they go in there. There's all these traps and all this stuff that they have to get to. But when he does get to this god, he awakens it, And this god is basically, picture like an ancient Greek god or something that was devoted to war, battle, like he was a war god, or god of war, I guess. And that was his whole purpose. Like, people would take like pilgrimage to this temple, and they might get a blessing. And so when they awaken this god,
Oh, I think I lost your sound.
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, no worries.
When they awaken this god, it does the same thing. And if you best this god in battle, or you spill the blood of the god or whatever, you'll get that blessing. You'll get a blessing of godlike powers. And it could depend on your personality. It's not all the same. But if you get defeated, you could get cursed or killed. So on this island is now like a modern an island that's there's buildings and cities and villages, and it's modernized now. And anyway, so Tommy, on this island, there's all these characters that have special abilities, and it's kind of turned into like a war zone in a way. Like, you got crime bosses and warlords, and all these people that have traveled there to try to earn see if they're gifted enough to earn a blessing or a special power. And a lot of people have, right? But they're not using it for good. I mean, you might be a warlord or something.
Right.
And so picture like this island, like a metropolis, not metropolis, but just picture, a made up created island.
Sure.
And it's got all sorts of different people on it. And like some, if you get cursed, it could turn you in. You might look different. You might look a little bit more like a creature or something. So you've got this island that's just full of all these like strange looking humanoids and people with special powers, and that's where this tournament takes place. So Tommy has to travel there because that's where his father went to try to gain his powers, which he might be dead. We don't know.
So what is Brazen's goal? Is it to serve himself, or is he trying to do it for some sort of greater purpose?
He's trying to find his father, really. So his father is missing on this island somewhere. And his grandfather, who was like his idol, got assassinated not too long ago. So he's not only trying to find out why are these powers coming out and is he going to get stronger, but he's also on a mission to find his missing father. So when he gets invited to join this tournament and stuff, he said, well, this is my ticket. This is my ticket to get to I'm calling it Farthica, the island. This is my ticket to get there, and maybe I'll find some answers while I'm doing this on the side. So I'm going to play along. But I'm going to do my own stuff on the side, really.
So, I mean, it sounds like a fantastic concept, and I really like the comic book elements of it as well, because as a kid, obviously, I loved the fighting games, especially Mortal Kombat. Those games, so many hours of that game has been spent, and unfortunately losing, but it was a lot of fun. What I always wonder, as the creator and as the artist and the writer on this book, okay, are there ever like conflicts within yourself, like you write, you drew out a page or plot out a page, and you go, going back as a writer, now what do I do with it? Do you ever have an idea as a writer and think, how the hell am I going to be the artist of this? I don't know how to, that's a lot of details I got to put in. I mean, do you get your own personal conflicts that way?
Yeah. I mean, this book started off way smaller. Honestly, but I was like, okay, this scene needs to be longer. I need to add, 4 more pages. I need to add another double page spread. So it's grown, and it's honestly, it's continuing to grow. Like one of the stretch goals on the campaign right now is, if we get to this next mark, it's going to unlock an additional, I'm calling it brutality scene, fatality.
Yeah, that's also I saw.
And it's a really brutal, nasty kill scene, right? So finale, really, of the first issue, and I really, I want to draw it.
Yeah,
because it's awesome. And but like I said, the book's continuing to grow, so it's really going to be probably like 64 pages when it's done. But yeah, it started much smaller. I mean, it was only supposed to be like a regular issue, But there's a lot of extra cool content in there. Like, there's some sketchbook stuff, character bios, which goes into all the first 6 main characters that are introduced, and like a cover gallery and stuff like that. Because I have amazing covers from some awesome artists, So,
I mean, looking at your campaign, which is on IndieGoGo, the final boss is killing it. I think you're at like 900% of your goal or something insane like that. I mean, is it blowing up bigger than you thought it would, or did you kind of expect, yeah, I'm going to kill it with this. This is going to be huge.
No, I mean, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, because I've never done a crowdfund for my own personal book. You know, I've done a crowdfund for an art book, like a 300, some odd page art book years ago. But I didn't know. I mean, you see crowdfunds that like do hundreds of thousands of dollars, but then you'll see some that do 20. So I really didn't know what to expect from this one. And I've never used IndieGoGo. I've used Kickstarter a couple times, but I wanted to try it because I see a lot of other creators on there. And I like the interface, especially the mobile interface where you can scroll down. You can see all the rewards like a lot easier, I feel. But I don't know if there's a better platform. I just wanted to try it. And it has like the in-demand feature, which when the campaign ends, it's still available, like on basically like a store, which I think is pretty cool. I don't think Kickstarter has that, but
no, once it's over, it's over. Some people I think figured out how to do it, and I haven't figured this out. I've had a couple of Kickstarter campaigns. I had one just recently. Apparently, it's a way of getting Kickstarter and move it to IndieGoGo to keep it running. But Kickstarter itself kills the campaign once it's done. You can't add anything more to it. You can't obviously give any more money to it.
Interesting, man. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I have an idea to even do like I don't know if I'm going to do this or not, but like an alternate ending / like a DLC version.
Oh, that's cool.
Which would be on Kickstarter, and it would have brand new covers, alternate ending, and just like kind of like a fresh, like, hey, if you want to collect all this, if you want to be a collector and you want all the covers, you could, even if you back to IndieGoGo, you could still back a brand new, fresh kind of take on the whole thing. But that's an idea I'm playing around with because I see people doing both now. IndieGoGo and Kickstarter I've seen, but either that or I'll just, maybe do an oversized one for issue 1 and 2 or something. I'm not sure yet, but
so I mean, I assume that you're now the guy to ask. How do you put together a successful Kickstarter campaign? I mean, IndieGoGo campaign, because I mean, you've done it. You're destroying IndieGoGo right now. You're with, I think, like 9%, I think, of your goal or whatever it was. Yeah. So what's the key to that? How do you make sure it's successful?
Okay, for me, my first thing was make sure that the book was like done, right? The book's done. I just haven't drawn the additional pages if we get to that mark. And that was my goal. Like I didn't want to even launch this on crowdfunding until I had the book drawn and written, because I've backed books before and never got them. I wanted to make sure for myself that the book was going to be done, and I was very confident that people would be getting it, in the next couple months. And then also I hired. Don't try to do everything on your own, because it's impossible. I mean, I hired a guy to create, a team to create the video trailer. I have a full-time designer that's doing all the graphics and stuff for me, that also, designed the whole issue and is doing all the graphic design for the whole series and the Kickstarter or the IndieGoGo campaign. So just have a team of people that can help you put together a really nice professional campaign, and instead of just trying to make a quick little video, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's so impressive. So can you tell some of our listeners, what are some of the more interesting rewards you have on your campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, the absolute best thing is the deluxe box, because you get everything. I mean, you get a custom box that we designed that's kind of got like an old school classic, like video game, like Super Nintendo type of vibe to it, right? Where it looks like a cartridge box. And then inside that, you get all the covers. You get my cover A, the Ryan Otley cover, the Boss Logic cover, the Brett Booth cover, a remarked sketch cover from me, blank cover, and an exclusive cover that's just for the box by the artist Jimbo. And then you get the trading card set of all 6 cards. You get a t-shirt, like with the Final Boss logo on it. It's going to kind of have a retro vibe to it. And you get a custom necklace that we got made just for the campaign, like a sterling silver. It's called the Tree of Power. And, you get that too. So, and you get everything else that we're adding on. And we've added on the David Finch holofoil print, the Final Boss Tommy Brazen 16-bit sticker, a bookmark. So really anything that we add on, you're going to get in that box. I mean, it's the ultimate package to get, really. I mean, it comes with everything. It's by far the best value, I think. So
as you're crushing stretch goals one after another, what is the one stretch goal that you are most excited about seeing hit, and when you can go, I can finally release this or do this?
So right now, the next one is really, really close, which is the kill scene, right? That's like a couple grand away from that. So that's that 50K stretch goal. And that's going to be those additional pages that are going to be like the brutality scene, But the one that I really want to get to, it's at 70. So there's another one in between, though. It's the rest of the 16-bit stickers is, I think, at 60. But the one I really, really want to get to is at 75K. And that's my last stretch goal that I even have available. But unless we got past it, I'd create something else. But that is the whole book. Everyone would get an entirely new book, basically like the artist edition, black and white, no text, no dialogue, just the art. So you'd get a whole nother book with it, but you could just get, because a lot of people like to look at the black and white art, including, me. I've always loved that. I love seeing other people. So you would get that, the artist edition, black and white issue. And I could maybe do something where like you have my writing in, text format or whatever, like how
that's cool.
Scott Snyder and Tony Daniel did that for Noctera. They did like a cool special edition like that. So I really liked that. It was like they had the script and then they had the art, and I just thought that was really cool. So I would love to get to that one because, you'd be getting a whole other book.
Yeah, I think I've seen a few of those. I think they call them director's cuts. I think they did one too for Forever Evil. One of the ones I always go back, because like I said, I write in, as a side gig, but there's one that Neil Gaiman did by the Salmon Absolute volumes. It has one issue in the back, which is done as the text with the art on the side. And I must say, as someone who's trying to write more and more and get better at it, that's an extremely valuable tool. I really love the director cuts of these things.
I think so, man. And it's like, it's something that I think just adds to the collectability of the whole thing, because these crowd funds, they're not like what you would typically find in a store. That's what makes them special, is you get all this extra stuff that that really only the backers of the campaigns get typically, especially stuff like that. Like I'm going to have Final Boss available, like the actual book. I'll probably have, maybe a couple of different covers available later on, like on my website or something. But there's certain things that you're only getting if you back it.
Well, once, as you said, the series is complete. Final Boss, you have written, how many issues is total?
I have 10 issues planned out. And
10 issues.
Yeah, it's like 10 bosses.
Are you planning on making other volumes of this later on as well? Or is this going to become like your Spawn? And this is going to be Final Boss's Tyler Kirkham's Spawn that you're going to be working on for?
If it's doing well, then yes. Because I also want to tell some of like Tommy's backstory, like some of his military days, his special op days. Like I have some cool stuff I want to do with that. And I also want to flesh out some of the other boss characters and stuff too. So I think it'd be really cool to be able to dive into that stuff a little bit more. But that's just like I said, if it's doing really well and people are really loving it and they're, continuing to buy it and stuff, then it'll obviously, if there's a drive for it, I'm definitely going to do it.
So Final Boss is on IndieGoGo. When does the campaign end?
Ends in 12 days, I think it was last time I checked today. But so 12 days, and like I said, we're really close to the next stretch goal. There's the box I was telling you about, and then we have a cover bundle, which has got all 4 or 5 covers in there. And then I have add-ons too, which are like, you can add on the necklace if you just want the necklace or the cards or whatever. And then you can also add, like, let's say you want to buy my cover, but you also want Ryan Otley's cover. You can buy my cover and add his on. And then I have, let's see what else. Oh, and I also have a couple of retailer packages too. Like if you want to have, 10 or 20 copies or whatever at your store, you can do that. And I have a retailer exclusive package, which I think about 14 retailers have signed up for this so far, where they get their own cover. Like you see these variant covers, like retailer exclusive covers. So a retailer can or an artist. There's a couple of artists that are backing it on their own, where they're going to get their own Final Boss exclusive cover. It's going to have the whole interior done, obviously, by me and stuff. All the issues will be signed. They'll be getting 100 copies of their cover, their art, that they can sell for as much as they want to to their to their buyers. So it's like the retailer exclusive tier, and that's been pretty popular. And it's amazing seeing the art come in too. It's so cool. I'm seeing all these amazing artists draw my characters. It's just so awesome.
It's a nice ego boost, huh?
Oh man, it's like that's probably the best part about this whole thing is seeing artists that I love. And I've been trading some artists and stuff too, but seeing their rendition of the characters is just so awesome.
So just to clarify, so when this campaign is over, there's still ways to access the campaign and keep purchasing.
Yeah, I'm going to do the in-demand feature. I'll keep that up. I don't know how long, but I'll keep that up. But I'm also going to release probably a special edition or something on tylerkirkhamart.com, which you'll, maybe a new cover or something that wasn't available via Kickstarter. IndieGoGo. Yeah, so it will be available. But I do, like I said, the way to get all the different stuff right now and the add-ons and the free David Finch, lithograph, the free bookmark, the free sticker, like that's now, because all those are stretch goals that we've accomplished, and that you're getting free stuff. You're not going to get that if you buy it later,
Yeah, and like I said, your campaign looks awesome. I'm very envious of how cool it all looks. I want to congratulate you on kicking ass on IndieGoGo as well. And
thanks,
it's a great pleasure talking with you, sir. Like I said, I've been a fan of yours going back quite a time, especially like I said, the Green Lantern, the New Guardians.
Yeah.
And I hope you kill that 75,000 K tier as well.
I appreciate it, man. And yeah, and thank you for being a fan. It's always awesome to hear, honestly. So.
No, it's definitely my pleasure. And like I said, if you ever head to the Northeast for either Boston, Connecticut, or Rhode Island, I definitely want to come visit during one of the conventions there.
What are you doing New York Comic Con?
I've actually not done New York Comic. I have not done New York Comic Con yet. I'm a Rhode Islander, so anything after about an hour is considered a vacation, unfortunately. But
this year, but just honestly, like I did Orlando last weekend, a couple weekends ago, and that was kind of my only show for this year because I just know I'm going to be so slammed with fulfilling final boss rewards. And then I don't know if you follow my social media pages or not, but I had another Kickstarter going that wasn't comic book related at all. Did you see it? It's called the Smoky Skull.
I follow you on your friends with me on Facebook. I follow you on Twitter and on Instagram, but I think with algorithms, I think I only see people like once a week.
I tried not to bombard my comic book fans with it, but it's a cocktail smoker, and that that ended a couple weeks ago actually, and that did really well too. But so I just know I'm going to be like so busy fulfilling that and Final Boss like to do any more shows this year.
Yeah, well, but like I said, when you are, I'm definitely gonna get an autograph. I do like I said, I have one autograph of yours on the New Guardians comic book. If I bought it on eBay, I'm not sure it's real, so I definitely need to go get a real one.
Well, either way, man, I'll have to at least get you a copy of Final Boss because I'd love to get your opinion on it. So
that'd be absolutely awesome, sir. I greatly appreciate you talking with me, and I'll let you know when the moment it goes live. And like I said, good luck. Get that 75K.
Thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure, dude. Thanks for letting me do this.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Spaghetti! And we're back.
That's right. We are back. Back in the saddle again. Well, I hope you guys really, really enjoyed that as much as we did making it for you. And if you liked what you heard and you want to hear more, you got to go check out Spoilerverse.com, because at Spoilerverse.com, we have a plethora amazing directors and artists of all walks of life, and editors and writers, and oh my God, are you a lover of comic books like we are? Then there's so many amazing people from the comic book world over at Spoilerverse.com, and I highly implore you to go there and check it out.
Yeah, and while you're there, you can check out all the other podcasts on our network, like Bridges and Geekdoms and Funny Book Forensics and Haphazard Adventures and Nerds from the Crypt and so many more.
Misery
We put out
Point Radio.
episodes all the time. Go check all of them out, and check out all of the reviews and previews and articles we have going up every single day for you, every day on Spoilerverse.com for you to check out and to read and to love and to like and to comment. We have a store link. You want to help support the site? You can do it two ways. One, go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/spoilercountry, or go to our store link in the middle of the site there and get a t-shirt, a face mask, a hoodie, something, look fly as hell, and help support the site when you do that, because we get $1 or $2. And maybe you want to talk to us. If you do, you can do it obviously on all the socials, but if you go to scpod.us/discord, you can join our public Discord server and come chat with us all day long.
I couldn't say it better myself, dude.
There you go.
You just mouthed out a ton of information at once. And really, I hope you guys enjoy what you're hearing, because we're working our butts off to bring it to you.
We are.
I guess there's only one left thing. Yeah, I'm going to go with it. There's only one left thing left to do.
What's that?
In an oceans of podcasts, we are Cthulhu. As Cthulhu compels you to open the mind and read more.
What's going on, everyone? Are you still looking for that perfect one-stop shop for all things pulp culture? You know, that one place where you can hear hot takes about superheroes, Star Wars, video games, and more? Well, fear not. Bridging to Geekdoms is the place for you. A podcast that focuses on the current rumors, scoops, and controversies within the pulp culture world. Hosted exclusively on the Spoilerverse Network, you can find us on any one of your favorite podcatching apps, YouTube, and at spoilerverse.com. So don't miss out on the excitement. Find us and subscribe now.